In the fascinating world of coin collecting, there are moments when an ordinary piece of change suddenly reveals itself to be something extraordinary, and few stories capture this better than the tale of the 1966 United States one-dime coin error. At first glance, the dime from 1966 looks like any other 10-cent coin, a simple, everyday piece most people use without even noticing. But hidden within that year's production were rare and unusual mistakes that transformed some of those dimes into treasures worth unimaginable sums. Imagine holding a dime in your hand, no different from the countless ones that have passed through your fingers over the years, and realizing that instead of being worth 10 cents, it could be valued anywhere between $60,000 and $134,000. That breathtaking possibility has fueled the passion of collectors for decades, making the 1966 error dime one of the most exciting finds in American numismatics. To understand why this particular coin has become legendary, we need to go back to the mid-1960s, a turbulent and transitional time for U.S. coinage. In 1965, the United States Mint made one of the most significant changes in its history by removing silver from dimes, quarters, and half dollars due to rising silver prices and a nationwide coin shortage. Before 1965, dimes were 90% silver, but starting that year, they were struck in a clad composition of copper and nickel bonded together. This change marked the beginning of a new era, and the coins of 1966 were among the earliest issues in this modern composition. The new process, however, was not without its complications. Striking millions of coins with a brand new clad design led to occasional mistakes, and some of those mistakes would become the very errors that collectors now cherish. The 1966 dime errors vary, but some of the most famous involve off-center strikes, missing details, double dies, and even rare transitional errors where a coin may have been struck on a leftover silver planchet from 1964. Each of these errors represents a failure of perfection at the mint, but it is precisely these imperfections that give them their immense value today. Consider the rarity of such mistakes. The mint's production process is designed to be exact, producing billions of coins that look identical. For an error to slip through, survive circulation, and be preserved in collectible condition is something close to miraculous. That is why collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own one. Imagine the scene of discovery. A person is sorting through a jar of coins, perhaps saving up change for groceries or just out of habit. Most of the dimes pass unnoticed, until suddenly one catches the eye. Maybe the strike looks off, or the lettering appears doubled, or the surface has the brilliant white look of silver instead of the duller gray of clad copper nickel. The finder turns it over in their hand, wondering what they're seeing, and then the realization sets in. This could be a 1966 error dime, one of the rarest of its kind. The heart races, the hands tremble, and the simple act of spotting a difference suddenly transforms an ordinary afternoon into a life-changing event. Because in that moment, a coin worth 10 cents has just revealed itself as a treasure valued at $60,000, maybe even climbing toward $134,000 if the condition proves pristine. The excitement only grows when one of these coins appears at auction. The atmosphere is electric, filled with anticipation. The auctioneer introduces the lot, describing the error and its rarity. The opening bid is set, and immediately hands shoot into the air or buttons are pressed online. The bidding starts in the thousands, climbs to tens of thousands, and then soars higher. At $60,000, the crowd is already buzzing, knowing the coin has crossed into legendary territory. But then the battle intensifies, as determined collectors refuse to back down. 70,000, 90,000, 100,000. The bids climb until they finally reach that extraordinary level of $134,000. When the gavel falls, the room erupts in applause, and the coin takes its place as one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. The allure of the 1966 error dime goes beyond just the numbers. It speaks to something deeper, the thrill of discovery, the idea that hidden treasures still exist among the most ordinary objects in our lives. Every time someone looks through a handful of change, there is the possibility, however slim, that a coin like this could appear. That possibility fuels dreams, inspiring collectors and casual searchers alike to look more closely at the coins they encounter. And the truth is, it does happen. Stories abound of people finding extraordinary coins in the most unexpected places. That is the magic of numismatics. The hunt, the surprise, and the transformation of the everyday into the extraordinary. The imperfections that make the 1966 error dime valuable also carry a deeper symbolic meaning. In a world that often prizes uniformity and precision, it is the rare mistake that becomes the most precious. These coins are proof that flaws can create beauty and that accidents can become treasures. They remind us that even in tightly controlled systems, the unexpected can slip through, creating something unique and irreplaceable. Collectors don't just see these dimes as currency. They see them as stories, artifacts of history that connect us to a specific moment in time. The stories of these coins often mirror the dreams of those who find them. One tale tells of a family who discovered a 1966 error dime in a collection that had been passed down from a grandfather. A simple jar of coins left behind. They thought it was just sentimental value, until a coin dealer pointed out that one dime was special. What they assumed was worth 10 cents ended up being sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Another story speaks of a coin roll hunter who patiently examined thousands of dimes, finally uncovering one of these rare errors, and in that moment realizing that his persistence had paid off in the most spectacular way. Think about the journey of a single 1966 error dime. Struck at the mint during a period of transition, it carried with it a mistake that no one noticed at the time. It was released into circulation, passed from one hand to another, buying newspapers, coffee, or bus fares. For years, it lived its life as just another dime, indistinguishable to most people. And then, decades later, someone finally noticed the details, recognized the error, and understood its value. That dime's destiny changed forever, from pocket change to prized collectible, from 10 cents to $134,000. That transformation is what makes these coins so endlessly fascinating. The 1966 error dime is not just a coin. It is a symbol of hidden potential. It reminds us that extraordinary value can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment and the right person to bring it to light. For collectors, it is both a treasure and a challenge, a reason to keep searching, to keep looking closely at the small details. Because the next great discovery could be anywhere, even in the smallest coin in your pocket. So the next time you come across a dime, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Take a closer look. Examine the date, study the details, and think about the history it carries. Because you never know. You might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable error coins in American history. A 1966 dime worth not 10 cents but between $60,000 and $134,000. And that is the kind of discovery that changes everything. The 1976 United States one-dime coin error is one of those stories in the world of numismatics that captivates the imagination and leaves people stunned when they hear about the values attached to it. Most people think of a dime as a tiny piece of change that buys very little in today's world, but in 1976 a handful of error dimes slipped through the cracks at the mint, and those mistakes transformed them from ordinary coins worth 10 cents into breathtaking treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the way its story blends history, accident, and unexpected fortune. Imagine discovering that a small dime from 1976, tucked away in a coin jar or rattling around in a drawer, could fetch anywhere from $52,000 to as much as $126,000. That's the kind of contrast between face value and collector value that makes people stop, listen, and even start checking their own change more carefully. To understand the magic of the 1976 dime error, it helps to set the scene. The year 1976 was an important one for the United States because it marked the bicentennial of American independence. Many coins that year received special designs to honor the 200th anniversary of the nation's founding. Quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins carried bold bicentennial designs that celebrated the spirit of 1776. But the dime, unlike those larger denominations, did not receive a special commemorative reverse. Instead, the 1976 dime carried the same design Americans had grown familiar with since 1946, the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. To many people, it looked like any other dime in circulation. But among the billions struck that year, a few carried unusual mistakes that made them stand out in ways no one expected. Errors in coin production happen for a variety of reasons, usually involving the dies, the planchets, or the striking process itself. These are not intentional differences but rather accidents in an otherwise carefully controlled system. For collectors, These accidents create opportunities because they result in coins that are unique, scarce, and impossible to replicate. In 1976, several categories of dime errors emerged. Some examples include off-center strikes, where Roosevelt's profile appears shifted on the coin and part of the design spills off the edge. Others involve wrong planchet errors, where the design of the dime was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, creating a coin that is lighter, smaller, or with a different composition. There are also double-struck coins, where the dime received more than one strike from the dies, leaving ghostly overlapping impressions. Each of these errors transforms a coin into something collectors crave. A perfectly struck 1976 dime is common, one of hundreds of millions. But a 1976 dime struck off-center or on the wrong planchet instantly stands apart. These errors don't just create a curiosity, they create a rarity. And rarity, when combined with demand, creates value. That's why auction houses have seen 1976 dime errors achieve jaw-dropping results. In many cases, these coins have commanded sums that seem unreal for a dime. The numbers speak for themselves. Some of these error dimes have sold for $52,000, while others, in exceptional condition or with dramatic mistakes, have reached $126,000. When you stop to think about it, that kind of value is almost surreal. 10 cents transformed into six figures. That is the dream of every coin hunter and the reason so many people still search their change with excitement. It's not just about owning a coin. It's about the story behind it. A coin that slipped through quality control during one of the most patriotic years in U.S. history, carrying an error that was never meant to exist, becomes a rare artifact that collectors will pay extraordinary amounts to obtain. For most Americans in 1976, the dime was simply a workhorse coin. It paid for phone calls, snacks from vending machines, and countless small purchases. No one at the time would have imagined that a few of these coins carried a secret mistake that would one day make them treasures worth more than most cars, and in some cases even more than homes. That element of surprise is what fuels the fascination. The idea that something so small and ordinary can hide so much potential value makes people look twice at their change. And the fact that auction results confirm the reality of those values, between $52,000 and $126,000, only strengthens the appeal. Collectors often describe the thrill of chasing error coins as part treasure hunt, part history lesson. The 1976 dime error captures both aspects beautifully. On the one hand, it represents a flaw in the mince process, a moment where machinery and human oversight slipped just enough to let something unusual happen. On the other hand, it represents a tangible link to a year of great significance, the nation's bicentennial. That combination makes it more than just a coin. It makes it a piece of cultural history. Auction houses have witnessed the excitement firsthand. When a 1976 dime error comes up for sale, the bidding is electric. Collectors understand how scarce these coins are, and they compete fiercely to secure them. What begins as a modest opening bid quickly escalates into a battle, with the final price soaring into that astonishing range of $52,000 to $126,000. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, because everyone knows they are witnessing the sale of a coin that is far more than just metal. It is a treasure, a rarity, and a piece of the unexpected. What makes the story even more compelling is the fact that these coins were not created for collectors. They were meant for circulation. That means many of them passed unnoticed through cash registers, coin rolls, and piggy banks before anyone realized they were special. Even today, it is entirely possible that a 1976 dime error sits hidden in someone's collection of pocket change, overlooked for decades. That possibility keeps collectors searching. Every roll of dimes could hold the promise of discovery. Every trip through a jar of coins could reveal a life-changing find. The 1976 dime error also serves as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of collecting. Perfection is expected in coin production, yet it is imperfection that brings the greatest rewards. The small mistakes that were never supposed to happen are exactly what make these coins valuable. It's a paradox that fascinates both seasoned collectors and newcomers alike. Owning one of these coins isn't just about wealth. It's about holding something that exists because of chance, rarity, and the passage of history. For those who dream of finding one, the lesson is clear: pay attention. Don't dismiss the small coins as worthless. Examine them closely. Look for the off-center strikes, the doubling in the inscriptions, the strange appearance that signals a wrong planchet. Because while most 1976 dimes are worth exactly 10 cents, a rare few are worth up to $126,000. The difference is extraordinary, and the potential for discovery is always there. The story of the 1976 dime error will continue to inspire collectors for years to come. It is a story of mistakes turned into treasures, of ordinary objects transformed into extraordinary artifacts. It is proof that sometimes the most valuable things are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and patience to notice them. And when you consider the values these coins have achieved, between $52,000 and $126,000, it's easy to see why the search never ends. The 1981 United States one-dime coin is one of those fascinating pieces of American coinage history that, at first glance, seems completely ordinary but holds within it stories of mystery, imperfection, and unexpected value. For most people, a dime is almost invisible in their daily lives. It is small, often tossed into jars, left in the creases of car seats, or slipped into vending machines without a second thought. Yet within the world of numismatics, the 1981 dime has emerged as a coin that demands attention, not because of its standard design, but because of the rare and captivating errors that manage to escape the mint and make their way into circulation. These errors have transformed a coin worth 10 cents into something collectors would fight fiercely to own, commanding values that range from $47,000 all the way up to $120,000. To understand why the 1981 dime has earned such a place among collectors, it is worth taking a closer look at its origins. The coin carries the familiar profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on its obverse, a design introduced in 1946 shortly after his passing, honoring the man who guided the United States through the Great Depression and World War II. On the reverse, the coin displays a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1981, the design had already been in circulation for decades, and billions of these coins had been struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. At such massive production levels, one would expect perfection, as the mint had honed its processes over the years. Yet it is precisely in such massive mintages that the possibility of error sneaks in, creating anomalies that later become treasures. Error coins are born from small slips in the process of minting, and the 1981 dime presents collectors with several fascinating examples. Some of these coins display off-center strikes, where part of Roosevelt's face or the torch is shifted awkwardly toward the rim, leaving a portion of the coin blank. Others carry double-die errors, where inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" show a ghostly doubling effect, making the words appear bold and distorted. Even more dramatic are wrong planchet strikes, where a dime is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, creating a coin that is physically different from its peers and instantly recognizable as a mistake. Each of these errors tells a story, not just of mechanical missteps, but of how something unintended can turn into something extraordinary. Imagine someone in 1981 pulling a freshly minted dime from their change at a grocery store, only to notice something strange. Perhaps the coin's edge looks thicker, or Roosevelt's profile seems off-center, or the reverse design is incomplete. At the time, many would shrug it off, assuming it was just an odd-looking coin. Some might spend it without thinking twice. But for the careful observer, that dime could have been the ticket to an extraordinary discovery. Years later, as the numismatic community began to recognize and document these error coins, their value skyrocketed, and those who had set them aside suddenly realized they possessed a piece of history worth tens of thousands of dollars. What makes the 1981 dime error so appealing to collectors is not only its rarity but also the human connection to discovery. Unlike coins struck specifically for collectors, error coins slip quietly into circulation, waiting to be found by someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck. There is a thrill in knowing that something so small and so overlooked could hold within it a fortune. And when we speak of fortunes, we are not exaggerating. Depending on the type of error and the coin's condition, these 1981 dime errors have been valued between $47,000 and $120,000. The very idea that a 10-cent coin could rival the price of luxury cars, fine jewelry, or even real estate electrifies the imagination and keeps collectors endlessly intrigued. The market for error coins thrives on stories like these. Auction houses report competitive bidding wars whenever a notable 1981 dime error is offered for sale. Collectors, both seasoned and new, are drawn not only by the possibility of financial gain but also by the uniqueness of each error. No two error coins are exactly alike. An off-center strike can vary in degree. A double die can display subtle or dramatic doubling, and a wrong planchet error creates an entirely unique piece. This uniqueness ensures that each coin is a one-of-a-kind collectible, impossible to replicate and forever distinct in its identity. Another layer of fascination lies in the symbolism of Roosevelt's portrait on these error coins. Roosevelt was a leader remembered for his resilience in the face of adversity, and in an odd way, the error dime mirrors that theme. Though flawed, the coin endures and even thrives, its imperfections making it stronger in the eyes of collectors. The irony is striking. What should have been seen as a failure of quality control at the mint becomes, decades later, an emblem of value and prestige. Collectors who pursue 1981 dime errors often describe the experience as addictive. They search through rolls of dimes, scan their change, attend coin shows, and scour online auctions, driven by the hope of encountering one of these rare treasures. The act of discovery itself becomes part of the reward. To find a coin worth $47,000 or even $120,000 hidden in a handful of change feels like winning a lottery drawn not by chance alone but by persistence and a keen eye. Beyond the financial and personal thrill, the 1981 dime error holds historical significance as well. It serves as a reminder that even in an era of advanced minting processes, perfection is elusive. The mint strives for flawless uniformity, but the occasional mistake slips through, and those mistakes, ironically, become the most sought-after products of all. It underscores a universal truth. Sometimes, it is the flaws that make something truly valuable. The legacy of the 1981 dime error will continue to grow as more collectors learn about it and as more examples surface. Each discovery adds to the narrative, fueling excitement and reinforcing the value of paying attention to the smallest details. In the grand scheme of American coinage, the 1981 dime might seem like a minor footnote, but for those who understand its rarity and significance, it is a chapter filled with intrigue, surprise, and reward. So the next time you come across a dime, especially one from 1981, take a closer look. Hold it up to the light, examine the inscriptions, study the edges, and pay attention to the design. What might appear ordinary could in fact be extraordinary. And if fortune favors you, that tiny 10-cent coin could be the very piece that transforms your perspective on value, proving once again that greatness is often hidden in the smallest of places. The 1981 dime error reminds us that within the overlooked and underestimated, treasures can be found, treasures worth not just admiration but sums as astonishing as $47,000 to $120,000. And in that realization lies the enduring allure of numismatics, the endless pursuit of discovering history, value, and beauty in the most unexpected corners of our lives. The 1999 United States one-dime coin may look like nothing more than an ordinary piece of change, a coin small enough to slip through the cracks of car seats, pile up unnoticed in jars, or pass between hands without so much as a second glance. But beneath that ordinary surface lies a fascinating world that many people have no idea exists. Within the billions of Roosevelt dimes struck in 1999, a handful of them escaped the mint-carrying errors, flaws that were never intended to see the light of day. Those flaws, those imperfections, are precisely what make the 1999 dime error one of the most intriguing treasures in modern numismatics. These mistakes, though they may seem small to the untrained eye, have transformed the dime from a 10-cent coin into a collector's dream, with values ranging anywhere between $44,000 and $115,000 depending on the nature of the error and the condition of the coin. To understand why this dime from 1999 is so captivating, it helps to revisit the design itself. Since 1946, the dime has carried the familiar image of Franklin D. Roosevelt, chosen to honor the former president's legacy, especially his association with the March of Dimes campaign that helped fight polio. On the obverse, Roosevelt's profile is surrounded by the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the year, and the mint mark where applicable. The reverse features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by olive and oak branches representing peace and strength. By the late 1990s, the design was deeply familiar, something Americans barely noticed as they carried dimes in their pockets every day. Yet within that familiarity lies the intrigue, because when something looks so uniform, even the slightest deviation can be instantly noticeable and incredibly valuable. The errors found on the 1999 dime come in several fascinating forms. Some coins display off-center strikes, where the design is shifted, leaving a crescent of blank space on the coin. Others show doubling in the inscriptions, where letters appear bold or shadowed due to a misaligned die strike. There are also examples of wrong planchet errors, where the dime was mistakenly struck on a blank intended for another denomination, creating a coin that is dramatically different in weight or appearance. Even smaller anomalies, like missing clad layers or clipped planchets, can push the value of a 1999 dime into extraordinary ranges. What makes these errors so compelling is that they are not manufactured or intentional. They are accidents, flukes of the minting process that slipped into circulation unnoticed at first but later revealed themselves as treasures. Imagine someone in 1999 paying for their groceries with a handful of change and sliding one of these error dimes across the counter. To the cashier, it's just another dime, no different from the others. It goes into the till, then out again, moving from hand to hand, until eventually someone notices. Maybe the lettering looks unusual, maybe Roosevelt's profile seems slightly off, or perhaps the coin feels lighter than expected. That moment of realization is the spark that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. It is the story of discovery, of finding something rare where no one else was looking, that gives the 1999 dime error its allure. For collectors, the financial value of these coins is astonishing. A coin that should have been worth just 10 cents can suddenly command a price between $44,000 and $115,000. That price range is not just impressive, it's life-changing. To think that a single dime pulled from circulation could rival the cost of a luxury car, a year of college tuition, or even a down payment on a home is almost unbelievable. Yet it is true, and that truth keeps collectors endlessly engaged, scanning through their change, searching rolls of dimes, and studying auction catalogs in the hopes of finding the next remarkable piece. The market for error coins thrives on rarity and story. Each 1999 dime error is unique, shaped by the specific conditions that caused its flaw. No two are exactly alike, which makes owning one feel like holding a singular piece of history. Auction houses have reported heated bidding wars when these coins appear, with collectors vying to add them to their collections. The rarity ensures demand, and the demand ensures value. For those who are lucky enough to discover one, the reward is not just financial. It is also the thrill of uncovering a secret, of realizing that something overlooked by millions can, in fact, hold extraordinary importance. Beyond the market value, there is a symbolic quality to these coins that adds to their charm. Roosevelt's image represents perseverance, leadership, and hope. To see that image struck imperfectly on a coin is almost poetic, as though even the symbols of resilience can carry flaws. Yet in the world of numismatics, those flaws are not weaknesses, they are strengths, the very features that transform a common coin into something exceptional. It is a reminder that imperfection can carry beauty, that mistakes can become treasures. Collectors often describe the pursuit of error coins like the 1999 dime as addictive. The process of searching through rolls, examining details under magnification, and chasing after leads in auctions becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a passion. Each discovery fuels the excitement for the next, and each coin tells a new story. The 1999 dime, with its errors and its extraordinary values, has become one of those stories that collectors love to tell, not only because of what it is worth but also because of what it represents. The allure of the 1999 dime error lies in the way it bridges the gap between the everyday and the extraordinary. On the surface, it is a coin used to pay for parking meters or vending machine snacks. But beneath that surface, it can be a life-changing discovery, a piece of minting history, and a symbol of how value can hide in the most unexpected places. It reminds us that treasures are not always locked away in vaults or displayed in museums. Sometimes they are right in front of us, waiting for the right person to notice. So the next time you find a dime, especially one from 1999, don't dismiss it as insignificant. Hold it up to the light, study the details, and ask yourself if it might be more than just spare change. Somewhere out there, tucked away in pockets, drawers, and coin jars, there are still 1999 dime errors waiting to be discovered. And perhaps one of them will find its way into your hands, transforming a simple 10-cent piece into a prize worth between $44,000 and $115,000. That is the magic of numismatics, the possibility that the most ordinary of objects can reveal the most extraordinary of stories.